Hey, what is up, fight fans? Michael Hernandez, and we are here back today with another interview. I'm very excited to bring you guys the kill switch, Kaleo Lagapa. How you doing today, brother?
Good, brother. How are you, man?
Hey, I cannot complain, my man. It is the first time this is going to be the new platform, 10-second mark, the first ever episode doing exclusive fighter interviews, man. So having the first ever guest, Kaleo Lagapa, very, very excited to have this man with us today. How you doing today, man? I know you've been, took a little bit of a hiatus after your last fight over at Salad Bowl Showdown, but you've been prepping a lot, and you've going down to the light heavyweight weight class, a weight class you're familiar with. How's it all going, man? How you feeling?
It's going great. After the fight, I just had a few injuries. Just had to take some time off, just get myself back to where I should be at. And this camp's been going great. I've just been focusing on a lot of aspects that were exposed in my last fight that I felt needed to be exposed at some point, so I could address those properly. And I feel over the last few months, me and my team, we've been pretty, heavily drilling those same repetitions to build a base in places where I was weak before, and I feel pretty confident in that. I feel a whole outlook in my game has changed. To be honest, never really tried to build a ground base on the ground before, but I feel a different sense of confidence now with that kind of stability on me.
Did you feel that the weight had anything to do with it? You were going up to heavyweight and against Kyle, being a bigger fella himself, he's usually around over there at the 260 mark. Did you feel that that had anything to do with the wrestling taking a big part into that fight? And then obviously, things didn't go your way during the fight, but it was a heavily attested grappling affair. You were on the ground for a majority of the fight. Did you feel the weight was having a lot to do with it, or do you feel that it was just like how you said, a couple of things you needed to sharpen up on?
I'm not going to blame it on the weight. I'm not going to sit here and be like, "Oh, it's the weight." No, it was just the fact that Kyle was the better man that night. He knew where his skill set was at. He knew where mine was, and he brought me to his ocean. You know what I mean? They call him the shark for a reason. And damn, I'll tell you, it was hard to swim in the waters. But you know what I mean? He's a hell of a fighter, and he was just better that night. And just like I said, exposed the game aspect of my game that I felt I needed to work on. But I felt honored even getting to go 3 rounds with him. That showed me that I have a pretty good, you know what I mean? I guess you could say place to start. You know what I mean? I guess if you can go 3 rounds, not get choked out the first round, that's pretty good. Like I said, just taking it as it is. I would say, yeah, the weight was kind of, but I would just say mainly it was just I need to drill that more because a lot of my fights have been stand-up affairs mainly. So, like I said, it was very important. I needed that loss. It was humbling. Kyle's a good fighter, and congrats to him, man.
How did it feel though to fight back at the Salinas Fox Theater, home,
Oh,
a place that's home to you, obviously, being from
yeah.
Salinas? Did it feel crazy with all the people in attendance? Because that Salinas Fox Theater, it was packed out for you guys, man. You guys definitely had a good show over there, over at the Salinas Salad Bowl Showdown.
Oh yeah, dude, it was amazing. Like I say every time, whether I win or lose, I'm not really in it for that. I'm just in it for the fighting's the easy part. The getting to go in the cage is the easy part. It's the training camps, man. It's these are all the hard parts. You know what I mean? Those days, whether it's win or lose, it's all I love the sport. You know what I mean? As long as I go in there and the people who paid money to be there get return on investment, that's what matters to me. What the judges decide or whatever happens in the ring is up to God. But I just go in there and bring my best every time. And I know that the men I fight do theirs, they bring their best. And I'm glad that every event I bring is a bang, and can't wait for this next one, man. It felt wonderful.
So let's go into your mindset after this last fight, against Kyle. You were, obviously a little down the dumps, but I know your aspirations were high right after, because I seen you right after commenting on 559 Fight Socials, Valley Fight Series socials. You were looking for a fight right after. So what was going through your head? What was the thought process? Was it like, hey, I got some things I need to sharpen up on, but I'm still ready to go? Like, because I seen you were commenting, you were very active on all your socials, looking for a fight, man. So it's not like you were down in the dumps or anything. So take us through that thought process of just kind of having to go back into the scene and just having to kind of start back at a different level, because you obviously you were building some big traction. You were 3-1, I believe, and you were having some big things. But sometimes those losses can dim me the eyes of other promoters. So was that a little challenging, kind of trying to talk to promoters, be like, hey, I can beat
Um,
the championship picture. Don't look at this last fight. Like, does not matter. I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna put up on a show.
Actually, no, it's opposite of that. It's actually more of a do look at this fight. I have a belief in. I look at it as if you were to take Kyle and you place him against any of the other dudes I would have fought, I feel like he would have dusted them. I feel like out of all the people I fought, I had the best opportunity against Kyle. I think, though it was a loss, like I said, I went 3 rounds with the dude. Still got some good strikes in me. Still got to showcase my skills even on the ground. Even when I was in bad positions, I wasn't just staying there. I wasn't, you know what I mean? I was looking to always try to advance, to make, even if I was going to take damage, to minimize the damage I was going to take. And I looked at it as what is Kyle? I think he was number 2 in the state. I think he's number 2 in the state. So I looked at it as, hey, I went 3 rounds with the number 2 dude in the state. I can go 3 rounds with anyone in the state. So let me take some time, heal my body, get my mind right. And I've done exactly that. And, thank God to 559 Fights and Mr. Jeremy Luchau. They've extended me an opportunity I'm very gracious to receive. So definitely going to go out there and redeem myself after this last performance.
You've had a lot of success over at 559 Fights before in the past. I believe that would you say that this is one of your favorite promotions in the California area? Because I feel like you
I
definitely show a lot of love to 559 Fights.
You know what? Yeah, I gotta say 559 is probably the place where I would call home because every time I go there, the promotion is always so professional. Everybody's so friendly. You know what I mean? I love seeing everyone. I'm 2-0 in the promotion. I feel like I get really good matchups in that promotion. Like I said, man, this upcoming fight against Kyle Mass is gonna be one for the books, man. It's I'm excited. He's a quality opponent. That's all 559 brings to the table for me, and it makes me bring out the best version of myself, and I'm glad I get the shit out with you guys each and every time I go out there.
How did you feel about that last fight of his? Did you feel that there was a couple of holes in his game, or did you feel he really wiped the floor? Because a lot of people in the stands were and after that first round, I feel a lot of people were kind of counting him out, but he came back in the second and third, very solid performance, and was able to tie it up
Yeah.
with that UD. How did you feel about Kyle Mass' performance?
Well, I will say this first and foremost. I think anybody in the stands, if you're not in the octagon, really your opinion doesn't matter. Secondly,
Very fair.
I think Kyle did what he had to do. He got the W. Sometimes you're behind in a fight and you got to turn it up, and that's what he did. You know what I mean? He did what he had to do to get the W. So you know what I mean. Never underestimating anybody. Holes in his game. Really want to speak too much on that. I'll just let my fighting speak for that. But he's a high quality opponent, not one to be taken lightly. And I believe that I'm a good match for him. I believe I'll be his best match so far. Um, and I just really cannot wait for my actions to speak much louder than any words I could speak.
Yes, it will definitely be a quite a matchup at 559 Fights 100 for that light heavyweight
Yes, sir.
championship, a belt that hasn't been on the line since 2018. This is something that has been 5 years in the making, and I know that you guys have definitely been putting in a lot of hard work, both you and Kyle, for the 559 Fights promotion. So definitely very excited for not only your opportunity but his as well to showcase those skills, because oftentimes you light heavyweight and you heavyweight fellas, you guys kind of get a little bit of shimmied in this California camo. It's a little bit harder for you guys to find fights. Is that a little bit frustrating for you sometimes to get offered fights and it's like, oh well, it doesn't really make sense for you, or it doesn't have any beneficial value for you? Has that been a challenge, trying to find fights in the camo promotions just all throughout California?
Um, I wouldn't say it presents a challenge as much as I would say, as is with the UFC, you see a lot more names in the lightweight, the welterweights, the featherweights. There's just more of those. There isn't really many of the big fellas. Um, and I would say that there's a select few, both Kyles, I would say, being in the kind of big fellas that are in the better, rankings. And less is more, I would say, honestly. I think it is a little bit harder to find an even matchup because it's either you're fighting someone who's way above you or just starting. So to get somebody that's like Kyle is very hard, and which is why I say you got to give him his flowers regardless. But come time, somebody got to be the baddest motherfucker in the ring. So let's go, baby. 559 fights 100.
Has there been anything that you've been doing different compared to your last camps? I know you've been saying that you were extensively been working on that grappling, been trying to tie up on a couple of loose ends from that last fight. But has there been any different processes? Have you maybe been going on a jog in the morning that's different from your other camps? Has there been anything different from this camp specifically that you have done that has really just you felt elevated you and made this fight camp a little bit different, a little bit more a little bit more special in a sense?
You know what? Yeah, I would say that I've just worked on myself more and focusing on little things, little patterns, building small good patterns. Very basic, keeping it simple, not none too crazy. I believe in simplicity. I think a lot of people think simple means easy. Well, no, not necessarily, because 500 knees is simple. It ain't too fucking easy to do that. Keep it simple. That's basically has been my motto this whole camp. And just always trying to stay in the mentality of just being a learner of the sport, never really thinking that what I mean, that you're the best or you know more than anyone, or just always keeping the white belt mentality, as George St. Pierre said. So that's
Yes.
just my biggest thing has been this one has been focusing on my mind and just really trying to be coachable. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Just be coachable and humble. That's pretty much it.
GSP is actually funny enough that you mentioned him, one of my favorite fighters to look at for that mental side because he has so many little nuggets and gems that he throws out at fighters. And I wish more people like yourself would take interest in it because he oftentimes speaks of a lot of things that I feel would help a lot of fighters. He speaks after that last fight that he had with his fight before his first retirement with Hendricks. He said he was going through a depression and he needed to fix some things, and that was a real reason of why he retired. And I feel like a big thing is like a lot of people don't look at things like that. It was like, oh damn, like one of the greatest of all time can go through something like that, and oftentimes it helps humanize yourself.
Exactly.
It makes you feel like, hey, GSP is going through me, Kaleo
Exactly.
Lagapa, I can go through this. It's perfectly okay for me to be feeling the feelings I'm feeling, and I can definitely see why you're looking at GSP for a lot of that insight, man. Is there any other fighters that you've been looking at? I know you definitely have your favorites, John Jones being one of the guys that you look at for a
You
lot of
know me.
inspiration. But any other?
That as funny as it sounds, really, that those are my two, because I always figure John Jones and George St. Pierre being kind of two different coins. I figure George St. Pierre is your natural dude, did everything right. He's liked by everyone. He's a very kind dude, very understandable role model. A lot of positive aspects you can take from that man. I think there's, like you said, there's a lot more. There should be a lot more fighters looking to not only build themselves inside of that ring, but outside of the ring as well, because bro, we're only in that ring for 15, 25 minutes. You know what I mean? We're outside here for for days, months, years. So I believe it's important to build a stable foundation outside of the ring. And then I look at John Jones because, as he once said, he did everything wrong. He showed you what not to do. You know what I mean? He's a very good example of what you should not do if you get to that prestige, if you get that level. And getting to compare these two and getting to see where one fills in the other's gaps and stuff like that, I think is a very interesting thing. And just to couple back on it, I think I don't think I ever know enough. I don't care if I've beaten every single person on the face of the planet. I'll still feel like I don't know enough. You know what I mean? That's just how I'll always be. I don't ever want to stop learning. I think once you stop learning, you might as well die. You
Yeah,
know. So yeah, those are really the only two I really look at it, because I basically I grew up with those two men. For as long as I can remember, I always looked at George St. Pierre like, damn, who's that dude with the Chinese tattoo that gets hard? So yeah, I would recommend a lot of people to go watch some excerpts from those two gentlemen. I feel like you would all learn some amazing things.
yes, those are definitely two of not only the best fighters of all time, but two of I feel we both have a mutual interest in their minds and the way that they're able to break down the game of MMA. And like how you said, John Jones, it's almost like an angel and a devil on your shoulder. You got GSP being that angel, and John Jones kind of being that little, like, maybe not a devil because he's very very he believes in God and very religious man himself, but he definitely has had his own fair share of troubles in the past, and he has tried to rectify them in his own senses, but everybody has their
Yeah.
own opinion on that. But you know For you, Kaleo, you always constantly post on your stories your workouts, and you constantly going out in the city of Salinas and different areas and jogging around. Has there been any different areas of Salinas or any different spots hiking wise that you've been hitting up? I've seen you kind of run through downtown sometimes. I've seen you've gone even on golf courses. You're a wild man. You go everywhere. Has there been anywhere
Yeah.
you as of late that has been citing the eyes of Kill Switch that you've just been hitting up and trying to make it your own kind of training place?
I have actually. So I was in the Navy for a little while, and I grew up swimming. So I swim in the ocean because it's just been how it's something I've grown up doing. There's this place in Santa Cruz called the Cove, and I go do some free diving over there in my free time. And I do feel that when you free dive in the ocean, death is very imminent. It's knocking on your front door, and it is a very real possibility. Um, and when you can come to terms with yourself and come to calms and all that calamity, I believe when you can do it there, you can do it anywhere. If you can be 30 feet underwater, looking at all that water above you, which most people would panic and want to get up to the surface immediately, you're not going to worry about staring some dude down at a weigh-in because you stared death in the face. And that's how I look at it. I look at a lot of I try to do or unorthodox training methods, I guess you could say. And I just, this camp have been really trying to venture in on, like I said, deep into the realms of my mind and see truly how far I can bring myself if I put my mind to it.
Swimming is definitely a very good use of cardio. Kamaru Usman was very known for his constant cardio regimens, going and doing them in the pool because of his knees, but you going and doing them for a different reason. I find that so interesting because you see how close you are to death. Do you feel like that's why MMA to you is that much more? Because you definitely carry MMA a lot more in your heart than a lot of other athletes, I would say. You're very passionate about the sport, and anybody that watches you go into that ring, anybody that watches your process can definitely agree with me on that. Would you say that that's why you like MMA so much? It's because the factor of death is kind of rolling down your window. You could go in that octagon, get knocked out, and you don't know what's going to happen next to you. Is that kind of why you've grown a liking to the sport, because it kind of follows
Yes,
along with your own morals in a sense?
yes, 100%, 100%, and a perfect example of that would be my loss to Kyle Clark. You know what I mean? A loss where in my hometown I had a man sitting on me, pounding my face in. Right. So for a lot of people, that's I'm quitting. I got punched out. I'm done. You know what I mean? But they don't. Like I said, I'm not in it for that. Like I love the sport so much to the point where, like, it's like when real recognize real. So props to you, bro. You did great. But that ain't gonna stop me. I'm in this till I die. This is my love. I love this. I'm not in it for fucking. I mean, like if the dude down the street thinks I'm cool, I could care what anybody else thinks. I'm in this for my own satisfaction, and for me, it's win, lose, or draw. If I go in there and I give everybody who paid X amount of dollars to be there a reason to smile and be like, damn, yeah, well, that's why I went there. Even if it's me getting knocked out, like shit. Hey, at least you had fun watching me get slept. Shake the other man's hand, give him his love. I think the sport is it's so primal, man. It's nothing like it, bro. It's it's a buildup. You have this antagonization of this person for so long, and then you see him, and you're like, fucking shit, there he is. Like, fuck, what the fuck? And then the fight's over, and you're just like what? Like that's it? Like we're done? Like you know what I mean? Like it's a beautiful sport, man. It's so much more than people think it is. I think a lot of people just look at us as brutes and fucking idiots who just go in the ring and fight. They don't see us as intellectuals and people. And I think that
Yeah.
it's such a personal sport. The sport is. I mean, I've played football, baseball, basketball, and I've excelled in every single one of them. But none of them I enjoyed. In high school, I was a starter on the varsity team, and I quit in the middle of my senior year. I mean, I had no passion for the sport anymore, but I was good at it. And that's when I learned that talent doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna like what you do. So when I came to this art, and there were people in my gym who, if you don't do this art, you're like, man, I'm 6'3", ain't no way this 5'3", 5'4", fucking 140-pound dude's gonna mess me up. Bet your ass there is. And it's very humbling, and it'll teach you. And when I believe a dangerous man is a humble one because he knows his own limits and he knows that respects others. And man, sport has just so many benefits. I could go on and on, but I love it so much.
speaking a little bit about that, you brought up an interesting point in there. Speaking about the bigger guys, oftentimes going into gyms, seeing the smaller guys, I'm like, man, I'm dusting that guy. A little bit of that situation been going on in the public eye. Demetrius Johnson, Mighty Mouse, one of the goats of the sport, has called out Bradley Martin for a grappling match. What are your thoughts on that? Somebody that's 260 pounds, obviously Bradley Martin have been saying, he thinks he can go with a couple of the smaller jiu-jitsu guys. You just saying you obviously have seen the results of that.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? How do you think that grappling
Well,
match
I'll tell you
will
this. I'll tell you this. I know his famous quote. I'm 260, bro. Well, I'll tell you from experience. When you're going up against a skilled grappler, the ground is the only place in the world that size don't mean a goddamn thing. It don't matter how big you are, how strong you are. Demetrius Johnson, look, I love Rod Tang, love the way he can strike, and the way he brought that man to the ground and choked him out was immaculate. I'm not even a huge Demetrius Johnson fan, to be honest with you, but I've got a massive respect for his skill set and talent and passion for the sport. I think he is another example as well as another, person to look up to. But yeah, I think Bradley's in over his head, and I hope that Mighty Mouse goes in there and rips his goddamn head off, bro. And I hope he embarrasses the shit out of this big ass dude, because more people need to put respect on our sports name. Like this is something that has been going on since the beginning of time. Humans,
Yes.
and it's literally been something that people have been doing since the beginning of time. Is fuck, fight, and kill. Like that's literally, you know what I mean? That's as primal as it gets. And I think it teaches you so much. It's such a rich sport, has so much heritage and culture in it. There's so many wonderful people you'll meet in doing this. You know what I mean? Even if you're not competing in the octagon, even if you're just going to the classes and going to your everyday jiu-jitsu class and just trying to get better, dude, it's gonna improve your life in more ways than one, more ways than you can imagine. I grew up watching boxing, been boxing since I was 17. And when I took up mixed martial arts, I found it such a newfound love for martial arts. So I would recommend everybody to do it. Male, female, big or small. I think it would be greatly suited for anybody. All
Yes,
ages.
I've told all especially when I go back to my hometown, I tell all the younger kids getting involved in wrestling or getting involved into a jiu-jitsu program. I I wish so hard that I had done that at 16, 15, and I would have even foregone going to go play football, going to go do all the regular high school stuff to better myself as a mixed martial artist, like how you said, because a lot of the lessons that you learn in the gym, a lot of the people that you meet, it's just it's so fundamental to just building yourself up as a man, building yourself up as just a growing adult. I feel even with having younger ladies on the mat, having women on the mat, you see them and you see them grow lessons that I feel they wouldn't have been able to learn in any other sport. Had they played
Mm-hmm.
basketball, had they gone and done cheer, had they gone and done whatever sport that high school would have offered them. I feel that jiu-jitsu or wrestling or a lot of these things that are involved in mixed martial arts, they provide so much more lessons, so much more things to help harbor your life that, like how you said, I feel a lot of young people should get into the mixed martial arts. But really appreciate your time here today, Kaleo. It's been awesome getting to talk to you. I always love breaking down anything with you. If it's the UFC fight game, if we're talking about grappling matches on the outside, if we're talking about the fights that you have, I always know you're down to have a great conversation. And I also love the shirt. Life's a risk, Now you want to talk a
You
little
know
about
me, brother. It's fight game, brother. But life's a risk. Never know what's
yeah,
gonna happen. But it's courage breeds a fun life. I would say so.
blood in, blood
Um,
out, correct?
Blood in, blood out, baby. If you know me.
Yes, no, I remember that movie from way back in the days, man. It's been a while since I've seen it, but I recognize the shirt and I really had to point it out, man, because I feel like it masks up tightly, perfect to you. Life's a risk. You live your life as a risk, and I feel like you definitely live it to the fullest, and you show to people how putting the dice out forward and just living your life and just not caring what anybody thinks, it can have some pretty good consequences. And for you, it's resulted in
Yeah.
a title shot for you at 559 fights 100, man. Any big shout outs that you wanted to give for this upcoming fight? I know you got your people over at Team Take Flight, but was there anybody else that you wanted to go ahead and give a big thanks to?
I just want to give my biggest thanks to God. As my Lord and Savior. Nothing at all would be possible without Him. I'm nothing without Him. All glories to Him in the highest. secondly, I just want to thank, my coaches and my team for supporting me through everything, because they're just a wonderful team. And there would be no Kill Switch if there was no Team Take Flight. And last but not least, I just want to thank Mr. Jeremy Luchau and the 559 Fights organization for prompting me with this opportunity. And I can promise you guys, you will not be disappointed, and there will be a great return on your investment. Mike, of course, it's been great talking to you as always. Feel free to let me know whenever. I can't wait to see you guys September 16th, 559 Fights 100. You know me.
Hey, and we may have a new potential light heavyweight champion over here in Kaleo Killswitch Lagapa, as he will be taking on Kyle Mask out of Madera Martial Arts and Fitness. It's going to be, I'm telling you guys are not buying tickets to 559 Fights 100. What are you doing? Like, just, I don't know what you're doing for that day, but make sure you guys are buying tickets. That UFC event, it's not going to be worth it. I promise you. Head over to 559 Fights 100 at the Visalia Convention Center. Come watch your boy Kaleo Lagapa against Kyle Mass. Come watch that whole event. I promise you, going to be full of amazing fights. Yeah. And you are going to be one of those fights, man. So was there any last messages? I know you had your shout outs to everybody and, to your Lord and Savior, but was there anybody else that you wanted to thank before we headed out here today, brother?
About it, brother. Thank you for everything. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
I appreciate you, my man. Michael Hernandez of MLH Media and Valley Fight News. And I'm going to be signing out with the one, the only Kaleo Killswitch Lagapa of Team Take Flight. Thank you for your time today.